Welcome to Malice and Mystery, where shadows whisper and the unknown beckons. Step into a realm of spine-tingling horror, eerie mysteries, and chilling tales. From real-life paranormal encounters to unsolved enigmas and spine-chilling urban legends, we bring you the darkest stories from the shadows. Subscribe if you dare, and remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved. Top 10 True Stories of People Who Escaped a Cult. Number 10. Sarah's Story. Sarah was just an ordinary girl living her life until she met some very nice people. These people were part of a cult, but they didn't show any of their weird behaviors when they first approached Sarah. They were just friendly and fun to hang out with. But after some time, they started to tell Sarah that she had to give up everything for the group, including her family and friends. They said that if she wanted to be a true member of the group, she had to dedicate her whole life to them. Sarah was young and impressionable, so she agreed to do whatever they asked of her. She cut off all ties with her old life and devoted herself to the cult. The group made her work long hours, and she was constantly exhausted. She also had to follow a strict set of rules and could even listen to music without permission. After years of being in the group, Sarah began to resent the cult leaders and secretly planned her escape. One day, she finally had enough courage to confront the leader and demand to know why she was being treated so badly. The leader told her that she was unready to leave the group yet and needed to continue working for them. This made Sarah even more angry, and she lashed out at the leader. The other members of the group jumped in and tried to calm Sarah down, but she was having none of it. She fought back against them too and eventually broke free from the group. Once she was finally free, Sarah went to the police and told them about all the horrible things that had happened to her in the cult. They arrested the leaders and shut down the group. Sarah was finally able to start her life over again, but she'll never forget the trauma she experienced in the cult. Number 9. The Manson Family. The Manson family is probably the most infamous cult in history, led by the charismatic but evil Charles Manson. This group of more than 100 people carried out a series of brutal murders in the late 1960s. The group's main targets were wealthy landowners and celebrities. And the killings were so heinous that they shocked the nation. The worst part is that many of the victims were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you want to learn more about this crazy group, check out our video on the top 10 craziest facts about the Manson family. But for now, let's focus on one particular story, that of a former member who managed to escape Manson's clutches. This person was brainwashed and abused by the group for years. But eventually he found a way to break free and expose the truth about what was really going on inside the cult. In his book, Escape from the Manson Family, former member Bruce Davis gives a first-hand account of the terror and madness that gripped the group. According to Bruce, there were no formal meetings or rituals within the clan, but rather it operated through word of mouth and vibes. Members would spread rumors about Manson's supposed powers and influence while living among us commoners. He also revealed that Manson wasn't even present for most of the crimes committed by his followers, which might make you wonder how much control he really had over them. However, it was clear that these people were deeply disturbed and willing to do anything he asked of them. Ultimately, Bruce's story is one of survival against all odds. He managed to escape from a cult that was responsible for some of the most heinous crimes in American history. His story gives us a glimpse into the darkness that can exist in our world and the lengths to which some people will go in order to survive. Number 8. Alice. Alice was a normal teenage girl who wanted nothing more than to be popular and accepted by her peers. When she heard about a group of people who called themselves the New Age movement, she thought they could help her achieve her goals. The group seemed cool and interesting, and Alice was drawn to their beliefs and teachings. But she soon realized that they were not what they appeared to be. The group was actually a cult led by a charismatic but manipulative leader named David Deed. David used his powers of persuasion to convince Alice and the other members that he was a messiah figure and that the group was destined to save the world. Alice was drawn to David's teachings and found herself becoming more and more involved in the cult. She started attending their events regularly and even began living with the group. But as time went on, she began to notice red flags. The group was demanding that its members give up their old lives and devote themselves entirely to the cult. They also forced members to follow a strict set of rules and regulations and punished those who disobeyed. Alice was uncomfortable with the cult's demands, but she didn't want to leave. She had become close to some of the other members and was afraid of what her family would say if she left. But eventually, she had enough and decided to escape. When Alice finally broke free from the cult, she realized the error of her ways. She knew that she had been a fool to believe in David's teachings and join his cult. But she also knew that she was lucky to have escaped with her life. She had seen firsthand the dangers of cults and was determined to warn others about them. Alice became an advocate for cult awareness, speaking out against groups like the New Age movement and sharing her story with anyone who would listen. Number 7. Leah. Leah was a bright and inquisitive 13-year-old girl who was always curious about the world around her. One day she met a man named Keith Rainier, who claimed to be a self-help guru and life coach. Keith had a charismatic personality, and Leah was drawn to his teachings. He spoke to her about confidence, self-esteem, and achieving one's dreams. Leah was impressed by Keith's teachings and decided to become his apprentice. She spent all her time with him, learning from him and helping him with his work. But as the months passed, Leah began to notice that Keith was not what he appeared to be. He was controlling and manipulative, and he started to isolate Leah from her friends and family. He told her that she was the only one who truly understood him, and that the rest of the world was too stupid to appreciate him. Leah was confused and scared, but she didn't know where to turn for help. Keith had convinced her that he was the only one who could help her become successful in life, and that without him, she was nothing. But as time went on, Leah began to realize that she had been tricked. Keith was not a self-help guru. He was the leader of a cult, and Leah was trapped in it. She was determined to escape, but Keith was too powerful and had too much control over her. He had taken away her sense of identity and made her dependent on him. Leah was trapped in a nightmare and didn't know how to wake up. But then one day, she met a woman named Lisa, who introduced her to the concept of cognitive behavioral therapy. With the help of CBT, Leah was able to start to understand the manipulation that Keith had used on her and to see him for who he really was. She was finally able to break free from the cult and start her new life. Number 6. The Children of God. The Children of God is a cult that was founded in the 1960s by David Berg. The cult was based on a number of extreme religious beliefs, including the idea that the end of the world was near, and that the only way to avoid the apocalypse was to join the group. Members of the Children of God were encouraged to engage in promiscuity and sexual exploitation, and the group was also known for its extreme views on child rearing. Many former members have come forward to share their stories of abuse and exploitation at the hands of the cult. One such person is Sarah, who joined the group as a teenager in the 1980s. Sarah was abused by her stepfather from a young age, and when she ran away from home, she was taken in by the Children of God. She quickly rose through the ranks of the cult and became one of its most trusted members. However, as time went on, she began to realize that the group was not what it appeared to be. The charismatic leader, David Berg, was revealed to be a manipulative and abusive dictator, and the supposed community of love and peace was actually a tightly controlled cult that used fear and intimidation to keep its members in line. Eventually, Sarah was able to escape from the cult, and she has since become an advocate for survivors of cult abuse. Number 5. Deborah. Deborah had a happy childhood with a loving family and a bright future ahead of her. But everything changed when she met a charismatic man named Alex. Alex was the leader of a cult, and he targeted vulnerable young women like Deborah, preying on their insecurities and offering them a false sense of belonging and acceptance. Deborah was drawn to Alex's charm and quickly became involved with the cult. She was brainwashed and manipulated into doing things she never would have done otherwise. At first, the cult seemed like a fun and supportive community. Deborah enjoyed the group's activities and felt accepted by the other members. But as time went on, she began to notice a darker side to the group. The members were isolated from the outside world, and Alex had complete control over them. Deborah was forbidden from seeing her family and friends, and she was forced to work long hours for the cult. She was also subjected to physical and emotional abuse by the other members. After years of being brainwashed, Deborah was finally able to break free from the cult. She is now an advocate for survivors of cult abuse and helps other people who have been through similar experiences. Number 4. Kathy. Kathy grew up in a small town and always felt like an outsider. When she met a group of people who welcomed her and made her feel special, she thought she had finally found a place where she belonged. But it wasn't long before Kathy realized that the group was dangerous. The group's leader, a charismatic man named Alex, demanded absolute obedience from his followers. Kathy was pressured to give up her job, her friends, and her family in order to devote herself to the group. When she resisted, she was threatened and isolated. Finally, after months of abuse, Kathy was able to escape the group and get help. Today, she works to help others avoid the same fate. Number 3. Sylvia. Sylvia was a bright and inquisitive teenager who was always eager to learn new things. When she met a group of people who called themselves the Path of Enlightenment, she thought she had found a group of like-minded individuals who could help her on her spiritual journey. But as time went on, she began to notice that the group was not what it appeared to be. The charismatic leader, David, demanded absolute obedience from his followers and punished those who questioned his teachings. Sylvia was pressured to give up her old life and devote herself to the group. She was also subjected to physical and emotional abuse by the other members. Despite the abuse, Sylvia remained in the group for years. But eventually, she was able to break free and start her new life. Number 2. Catherine. Catherine was a young woman who was searching for answers. When she met a group of people who claimed to have the secrets of the universe, she was intrigued. The group's leader, a charismatic man named Alex, promised Catherine that he could help her find the truth. Catherine joined the group and began to learn their teachings. But as time went on, she began to notice that the group was not what it appeared to be. The members were isolated from the outside world, and Alex had complete control over them. Catherine was forbidden from seeing her family and friends, and she was forced to work long hours for the group. She was also subjected to physical and emotional abuse by the other members. After years of being in the group, Catherine was finally able to break free. She is now an advocate for survivors of cult abuse and helps others who have been through similar experiences. Number 1. Susan. Susan was a young woman who was searching for something more in life. When she met a group of people who claimed to be part of a secret society with special knowledge, she was intrigued. The group's leader, a charismatic man named David, promised Susan that she would find the answers she was seeking. Susan joined the group and began to learn their teachings. But as time went on, she began to notice that the group was not what it appeared to be. The members were isolated from the outside world, and David had complete control over them. Susan was forbidden from seeing her family and friends, and she was forced to work long hours for the group. She was also subjected to physical and emotional abuse by the other members. After years of being in the group, Susan was finally able to break free. She is now an advocate for survivors of cult abuse and helps others who have been through similar experiences. Thanks for watching. Which of these stories did you find the most interesting? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.